Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Dr. Fantastic Interviews. I've got Bruce with me today, and he is a novelist with 4 novels under his belt. That's fantastic, Bruce.
Yeah, I actually have 7 novels, but 4 got published.
Oh, 4 published?
Yes,
Well,
yeah.
And you got 3 more to go.
Yeah, no, I think you have. I just have a theory that everybody's got garbage that has to come out first. So the first 3 were figuring out how to do it. So
Okay.
but I did it.
And you did it.
Yeah.
And you are a producer and writer of episodic television.
Correct.
And CSI is a big hit.
Yes. Yeah.
Big hit. And we have, like, Chicago CSI and New York CSI and Miami CSI. I guess they have just dozens and dozens of spin-offs. Huh?
Well, the CSI franchise is gone now.
Is it?
It was New York, Miami, and then the mothership was Las Vegas.
Okay.
Those are all gone. But just finished Criminal Minds, which wrapped. This is going to be the 15th and final season. So that's 15 years is a very long time. And
well, let me ask you a question. Most criminals aren't very intelligent, right?
that's true.
And most writers are very intelligent, and they write very intelligent crime dramas.
That's sort of true.
Do you think criminals are learning from and copying maybe some of the great crimes that have been created on television and the movies?
Well, yeah, I think a downside of what we do is that we educate the public for good and for bad. We educate them for, like, jurors. A lot of when I'm on jury duty, I've talked to some of the fellow jurors and people that they feel like they have more tools to come in to judge something because they've watched many shows like that.
Right.
But it also does, yes, it had the opposite thing is if you have criminal intent, you say, okay, I won't make that mistake, or I will be sure to cover my tracks that way.
Right.
So it happens.
Well, it's like lying. I never lie because I don't have a very good memory. And if you lie, you have to remember what lie you told.
That's right.
And then you have to cover it up. And you've seen these movies all about one lie turning into this cluster
Yes.
of horrendous situations.
Yeah, the mind won't retain a lie very well. And in fact, William Goldman, he wrote that book, Which Lie Did I Tell?
Oh, really?
Which was about Hollywood, and that was the title of the book because you're trying to figure out exactly that. What lie did I tell? Because you can't remember.
I haven't read many books, but that sounds like an interesting one. Now, we were talking earlier about the motion picture business, TV, how nobody says yes because their head's on the block if it doesn't work out.
Right.
And I don't care who you are, studio chiefs, they get fired too.
That's right. Yeah.
So it's like, how the hell does something get green lighted?
These days, it's just tougher. There's more of a. You can get a little cynical about it because they're more focus on attention on focus groups. They will take a product out. The fact that I'm even talking about the creative world as a product gives you an idea. They'll take, if you have an idea for a show, they'll run it by a million focus groups first before they commit to actually filming a pilot and trying to get it on its feet. And if the focus groups come back and say, it probably is not going to go forward, which is unfortunate because a lot of shows, even big hits, when you think back on them like Seinfeld, they took a while to get traction. They had 2 or 3 or 4 seasons to find their footing, start to build an audience. The way novels work.
They build.
Yeah, it's word of mouth. You put it out there. You don't need to try to hit a home run every single time. But the mentality now is it's got to come out of the gates.
Because it's such an instant society now today, right?
Yes.
There's no patience. What did I heard that Pulp Fiction was turned down by everybody.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. I think that's why you're seeing so many reboots. The
Remakes.
Hawaii Five-0 and Magnum and MacGyver and Murphy Brown, and they're trying to redo a hit from the old days rather than
create something new.
Find new ground.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I noticed is when they keep remaking these big blockbuster movies like Superman or whatever, every 10 years, what I come to realize is there's a new generation for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it was, and I guess that's why they keep remaking them. Well, one of the reasons.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, I guess there's logic in that. That if it worked, like if you just kind of swap out Tom Selleck for a new, hipper.
Well, because there's another 12-year-old kid having his birthday today.
Uh-huh.
So that 12-year-old kid's going to want to see Jungle Book.
Yeah.
Or, you know, as an example.
And it is true that there's not a whole lot new under the sun. You know that every show has it was inspired by something that went before even those shows from the early days. But you can have a Rockford Files again today without calling it the Rockford Files. They're trying to get brand recognition. They're not really going necessarily for millennials. They're going for that stay-at-home network audience that says, "Oh, Rockford Files. I remember I used to like that.
Right.
I wonder what this new one's like." And of course, it's never going to stand up. So it's.
What I like about the, well, I've always liked Sherlock Holmes. You know, figuring out things and trying to figure out stuff. But I guess with the DNA and the way they can solve crimes, you know, it's really intriguing that with one simple little clue, they could find the bad guy.
Yes.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Sometimes that can make writing mysteries difficult. This year with the advent of just cell phones and electronic keys, things you don't think about. That in the old days you'd see somebody pick a lock, or they'd have to try to find a phone, or they couldn't call for help. When you writing a procedural in today's world, it makes it a lot more difficult when people can dial for help. There's so many surveillance videos. We're surveilled all the time. We don't really realize it, but you're on camera about 70% of your life, whether you like it or not. And so those things pop up that didn't pop up to writers from an earlier era. Like, well, this happened. Well, wouldn't they check the neighboring homes for surveillance video? You go, yeah. So you have to deal with that. So it's.
So the average person is videotaped like 200 times a day in the city.
Yeah, it's something extraordinary.
Yes, a lot.
Even more. In
and
Europe.
now, I love keeping up on high tech. With the facial recognition. You walk into a store, it recognizes your face, it finds out who you are, then it finds out what you like, because you have a social history, and then it starts telling you, there's a sale on underwear or whatever,
Right. Yeah, it's creepy.
It's a bit creepy.
You turn on your computer, it's almost like you could have had a dream about something, and they're trying to sell you something with a little advertising banner about that in the corner.
I remember a couple of years ago, I kept getting these ads for penis enlargement. I'm going, why am I getting this? What do they know that I don't know?
I think everybody gets. I think my sister was getting those.
That's all right. I haven't got one in years, so maybe they figured I got the enlargement. I don't know.
Who knows?
But you do any kind of search now on the internet, and you get those ads for what you're searching for. Again, it's amazing.
That's one of those things you were talking about. Do we educate criminals better because of what we do? That aspect of it is true, because they know how to shut down cell phones now. Not to be, we teach people how they're tracked, and also that making calls, because they ping off cell towers and really track people that way.
Have you heard of the movie called The Listening?
No.
That was they say that you can listen to everyone's cell phone even when it's off, and the only way not to is if you take the battery out of the phone. That's the only way not to be tracked.
Yeah.
And listened to. That was quite a good movie.
Yeah, you can get paranoid with if you're on these shows long enough about the types of just the way they can look in on your computer, that little camera that's
Oh.
on the thing, you're supposed to tape that up because people can hack that
Yeah.
and watch what you're doing. And
There's been a lot of movies made on that one, yeah.
Yeah.
See, sometimes they say ignorance is bliss, so I don't watch the crime drama shows. But I do know a lot about technology. I watch a lot of YouTube stuff, which is interesting. And to me, that's the most amazing tool on the planet, YouTube.
yes,
Anything you want to know
Anything you
about,
want.
anything.
Yeah.
There's 1,000 videos on it.
yeah. It's always been the conflict. You want to keep the world simple, but you also, and you look at technology, and that's technology that also makes it films you a lot, but it also gives you a lot of things. So it's a trade-off, I suppose.
Well, I'm on a mission to make the world a more civil place. My wife thinks I'm totally crazy to spend as much money and time to do this, but it's very rewarding for me. But I like to quote Steve Jobs, who said, people who are crazy enough to think they can make a difference in the world are the ones that do. So I'm on a mission. I've got 1,900 people following the movement in 41 countries. I've got a corporation. I've got the app and the phone app and the website and the Instagram and the Facebook and the YouTube. So I'm covering the bases with the social media. And I'm having fun doing it. So I guess as long as I'm having fun and people keep giving me encouragement that I'm doing the right thing, I'll keep doing it.
Well, it's like, it's not doing any harm. It's
It's certainly not doing any harm.
It's almost like the doctor's oath. Just the worst thing you could say about it is you haven't harmed anybody, which you can't say about other things.
Right. So I'll just keep on going down that path
Oh yeah.
until I'm not having fun, because I've worked in literally 81 different professions in my life.
Holy cow.
Author being one of them, producer, director, construction, sales, I mean, you name it. Probably be tough to name one that I haven't worked in. But I say is, like when I pick grapes at 8 years old, someone's a professional grape picker. It wasn't my profession,
Right.
but I've worked in that many professions, so it's kind of interesting.
Well, that's
but
important.
I think it all led to give me the knowledge I have now to counsel people, to motivate people, to show them a different light on life.
You know what their life is like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knocked around a lot when I was trying to get my novel. I didn't get published until I was in my late 30s. And so up until then, I did all. I drove a truck. I did a lot of things, and it's all grist for the mill. And it was none of it was wasted time, because when I found myself writing for television, suddenly.
You use those experiences.
Yeah, if I had to write a scene where it was set on a loading dock at a frozen food company or something like that, I knew exactly what that was like and how those people talked and what they did, and I wasn't sort of incubated in a film school my whole life,
Right.
where the only thing I could access in terms of knowledge was what movies did I see, and try to remember movies that I'd seen about loading docks and then try to emulate that, but it's not the real thing. And it just gives you a broader understanding of people, which is very important.
Well, I hitchhiked around the world at 17 for my education. College wasn't for me. And I've met a lot of people, the richest and the poorest.
Yeah. I did a lot of hitchhiking too. That was the era when people did that.
Yeah. 72.
Yeah, I was in 70, 71, and 72. I hitchhiked all over the United States and Europe.
Well, we probably passed each other back then.
Yeah, no doubt. It's fun.
Yeah, it is. And I still see a hitchhiker now and again.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I got arrested, 2 weeks ago for picking up a hitchhiker, because I drive Uber and Lyft, and it was a sting operation at the airport. These showgirls needed a ride, so I pulled over. They had luggage, and they were cops, and I guess you can't do that off of the app, right? You just can't pick up a hitchhiker. If I had it would have been no problem if I wasn't an Uber driver.
Oh, okay.
And so it was a fantastic experience. It didn't go against my record or didn't do anything. It just, they cuffed me and they did the whole 9 yards.
Oh my God.
And I'm yelling, I'm going, this is fantastic. And I actually asked the cop, because they drove me in the back of the paddy wagon. I gave him my speech, by the way, in the back of the paddy wagon, made him fantastic. And I asked him to get my camera out of the car before I got out of the cop car in cuffs. because I want this for my video show. And they actually got my camera out of my car and filmed me getting out with handcuffs. But what's nice about that story, I didn't know if I should air it, because people say, oh, he got arrested, he's a bad guy or whatever. But they can see that it wasn't a bad situation. But what was nice to hear, because I have these meetings once a month at the yacht club, motivational meetings. And a guy came to it and said, I watched Dr. Fantastic gets arrested. And he said, a couple of days later, I had a really bad situation happen. And normally I would have blown up and it's just gone crazy. But I remember you having a fantastic time getting arrested, which put me in a better state of mind. Mm-hmm. And he controlled it, and he made the best of it.
Yeah.
So the fact that I know of, I made one person better because of that, makes me happy.
Yeah.
It's about knowledge,
yeah.
And that's why this thing you're being recorded on now is all about teaching somebody about the business or a way to look at life and a way to enjoy life and be happy. Mm-hmm. Because writing, if you really enjoy it, you probably don't sleep a lot because you can't wait to get that next page down, right?
Yeah. Or you're nervous about having to go face the page. I've seen, I have to say, in all my experience, I've met very few writers who got up out in the morning and said, yes, now I get to go write.
Oh, really?
It's like, oh, no. It's like it's a root canal. But,
well, that doesn't
but once you get into
sit
it,
with me.
Once you get into it, though, it's because it's difficult. Because it's a really difficult thing to do to try to do well. And you've got a blank page, and it's a blank page is opportunity, but a blank page is also like you got to fill it up, and it can be daunting. But once you get into it, then you realize why you always wanted to do it in the first place. But it's
that first step there.
It's that. Yeah, that's why I think Hemingway said he always would quit writing, finish his day of writing in the middle of a paragraph, because he knew just how hard it was to kind of get up the next morning, restart the engine, try to get. So it was a device that allowed him to come in and, the story was already rolling. The paragraph was already in.
That makes a lot of sense.
So he'd finish the paragraph, and just that little bit kind of lit the pilot light. So he wasn't just stuck.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Do you know the actor Richard Harrison?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, I interviewed him twice so far, and great guy. We're friends now. And he was telling me that
who am I thinking, Richard Harrison?
Well, he's been in 135 films.
Oh, I was thinking of Richard Harris. He died a long time ago.
No, Richard Harrison.
I don't know.
He's an actor. Been in 135 films as a lead.
Mm-hmm.
And he was telling me that he was good friends with Gore Vidal for 40 years. Mm-hmm. And Gore his thing was 40 pages a day, I guess.
40 pages?
Yeah, every day.
Holy cow.
And then he'd stop at 40 or something like that.
That seems a lot.
Well, he wrote a lot of novels, I'm told. Like 40 novels or something.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. But at any rate, sometimes it's just as long as you enjoy what you're doing, just keep doing it,
Yeah. And the thing is, nothing else ever appealed to me as much, so it wasn't like I was doing this when what I really wanted to be was a chef.
Right. Right.
I just always wanted to be, from the time I was a kid, to do this.
And you did it, and you're doing it.
Yeah.
And now you're going off to your ranch. You have a ranch.
Got a little ranch.
You got horses?
Nope.
What's on the ranch?
Right now, just elk.
Elk.
We don't own them, obviously, but there's an elk herd that goes through our property.
Oh.
So it's really pretty. It's a really beautiful little spot. And,
how often do you get out there?
Well, now hopefully more than before, because the show is on stopped and I'm not on a show now, so it's giving me free time.
So you're out of work? You're unemployed?
Unemployed.
But you get like residuals all the time, right?
Yes.
That's nice.
You get residuals, which is nice. And
now let me ask you something. The residuals, do they actually send you a check, or it just gets automatic transferred in your bank?
They send a check.
Oh, good. Because remember the old days when you got a paycheck and you can actually look at it and say, I earned some money?
Yes.
Today it's all electronic.
Yes.
It's just into your bank. It's almost like, you're not working and we're not making money because you don't see that money.
Exactly.
So you go to the mailbox every day and open up a bunch of checks, huh?
Well, I wish it was that frequent. Every once in a while, they call them the green envelopes because they come in green envelopes from the Writers Guild.
Okay.
And you just kind of go down, and you can always tell from a distance as you're walking towards the mail box. Do you see that
green?
That very distinctive green.
That is interesting. It's
Yeah.
always been that way. Green envelopes.
Yeah.
Oh, I got a couple green today.
Yeah, they don't come very often, but when they do, it's like sort of Santa Claus came.
And you don't know when they're coming. Is that what it
No,
is?
you don't.
Really? It's like Santa Claus. Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, I am Santa Claus. I don't know if you
I can
noticed
see that.
At Christmas, I'm Santa. Well, Bruce, you're our joy to interview, and thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Maybe we'll do a radio show one day on my show. We got a lot of information out there that I think helps people. It's always about helping people, sharing your knowledge.
And not be discouraged by the odds. That was the thing I had to overcome. Was like in my 20s and 30s, everything was so discouraging that I'd hear from people like they said, "Well," I remember meeting an editor from Viking Press back in New York in the 70s, and I was just working as in an office doing some menial job. And I didn't want to tell him I want to be a novelist because I think this poor guy probably can't go anywhere without all the would-be novelists trying to talk to him. But he said, my advice would be to find another profession as a backup because you're not going to get published, basically. And if you do get published, you're not going to make a living at it. Like 1 out of 30,000 manuscripts